Hey there guys, Roy here with Radiant Clean. Today we're up in North Tampa. We're gonna be doing this roof, which you can see is a little dirty. We'll take a look up closer there when we get up there. We're gonna be doing a roof, and then they also asked us to do the exterior gutters. So you can see over here, they're got some organic growth on them. They got some mildew and whatnot growing on them. So we're gonna go around, and while we're filling up with water, I'm gonna go around and bag the gutters. I think I'm gonna start on the gutters first and wash those because the roof is wet right now. We just had some rain, which give that a little bit to dry up before, one, not only walking on it, but two, just give the bleach a better chance to clean it if it's a little dry. So we'll get the gutters protected. I had some questions about what we do with the gutters. Let me show you the plastic that we use. I know I've showed this in the past, so if you've seen it before, bear with me. But we just have these rolls of this vinyl tubing, which I'll show you here. We have rolls of this tubing that I just cut to length, so I can pull this out as long as I think it needs to be. I usually give it about 5 feet or so. Cut it and then tie one end of it very tightly, and then put the other end obviously over the gutter. So depending on how much chemical I think I'm going to be using, we can do that, and then that keeps the runoff from going into the driveway. So I think there's only like 4 or 5 gutters, so we'll get those going, and then pull out the hoses, get the cleaning of the gutters started, which I will show you when I come back. So we'll be back with you in a minute. All right guys, starting on the gutters here. Sprayed the gutters with some SH. I'm just rinsing down the house a little bit to make sure that the SH doesn't leave any streaks. Gonna need to rinse down the house and the yard anyway for doing the roof, so obviously this isn't a full house wash. We're just doing the gutters. They do need a house wash, but we'll hold off on that until they're ready for it. So I'm just gonna wet down the house here and then do this side. Again, the reason I'm doing the wetting it down is because the SH, when it runs down, could leave some streaks. So I'm trying to avoid that. I always like to make sure I hit the glass before we do the roof anyway, because if you leave it 5% SH on there, it can cause etching or filming on the glass. So obviously we don't want that. These are pretty bad, so they might need a couple treatments. This side isn't as bad, but rinse the house now so it doesn't get stuff on it. I'll let that SH dwell on there for about 5 or 10 minutes. Cooler today, so I don't really have to worry about it drying on there as much. I need to spray the lawn over here anyway. All right, we're gonna keep spraying this down, pre-wetting it, and I'll come back and rinse those gutters. Might have to hit them again. And then we'll get up on the roof, give it a little time to dry. And I have to make sure I hit these plants out front really good. Give that roof a little time to dry, and we'll get up there and get cleaning. Back with you guys in a few. All right, guys, one of the things I like to document before we start our jobs is the health of the plants and grass around the house. So you can see that this lawn has got a lot of dead grass. It's very spotty. So we like to just document that to make sure that the client knows that we didn't kill it, that the grass is like that already. So you can see I have my plastic bag set out. This grass back here is pretty dead, so that is not from our overspray. So yeah, that's what those plastic bags look like. So they're just literally tied off, and you can make them as long or short as we think we need. These may be a little short for the size of this roof, so we'll see. I'll monitor them. If they're getting full, I'll empty it and then or even put a new longer one on there. So gonna keep wetting down the grass. Go back, and you can already see those gutters are starting to clean up quite a bit, but I'm gonna water down the grass some more, and then we'll get up on the roof. As you can see, the SH is already starting to take effect on these gutters, so I'm gonna start rinsing them off and see if it needs to dwell a little bit more. I might need to come back and hit a couple of these again, but some of it is oxidation and staining. They have gutter guards on, and I don't recommend using those because they do cause the leaves to still collect at the top, and then it goes over the side of the gutter. And so you're still getting sludge and stuff in the gutter, but now the runover is going over the side of the gutter and it causes more staining. So if you're looking at getting leaf guards, don't. So, all right, I'm gonna keep hitting these. We'll come back and do the roof, and then see if we need to hit these again before we leave. So talk to you soon. All right, guys. Here's the roof. You can see it's still a little wet, so we'll see if that impacts the cleaning. Some of the wet seems to be just towards the bottom where I was just spraying, so that may dry off as we're doing this. So I'm going to start in the back, work my way front. You can see how really dark that is on this side, particularly particularly. You can see what the light looks like over here. And this side is really a mess. So, all right. You'll note my pump is going to be struggling today. It needs to be swapped out. Actually, I'm not sure if it's the hose. We needed to order some attachments. So I think my line is kinked. Go check on that. Let's go see what's going on with my line. It's a nice cool day here in the Tampa area, which is extremely unusual. It's supposed to get up to 80 today, but I do like to do the roofs when it's cooler, but not necessarily cold. Let's see what's going on here with my line. Is there a kink in it? No? Just my pump acting up, I guess. I do have a replacement pump, but I was waiting to see if it was the pump or if it was the hose. There's a hole in the hose, so I don't know if that's part of the problem, but so this might take a little while today, but you can see it's already, color's already starting to change. It looks like it was, I think it's my pump, because it's got pressure to begin with and then loses pressure. This is going to be a long roof job. Anyway, like I was saying, I got a replacement pump, but I want to replace the hose first to just make sure that that's not what the issue is. So, all right. Let's go over here where it's the worst. It's going to take us the longest. Yeah, I think it's the pump because it's got pressure right when I turn it on, then it goes away. Well, we'll get it done. We don't have any soft washing jobs tomorrow. We've got 2 window jobs. We've got a window on an apartment, which is interesting, downtown Tampa. And we got some solar panels. So, get some time in the garage and switch some of these parts out. I was waiting on some parts for my hose. On my soft wash hose, this quick connect that you see here is corroded on so badly. I spent like half an hour trying to get it off. If you guys have any suggestions on how to get a corroded quick connect off, I'm all ears, but it was not coming off for me. So I had to order some new ones. So those took a little while. It's starting to rain, but it's just sprinkling, so hopefully it's a typical Tampa sun shower. It's just going to pass over. All right, you can start to see how this is changing color already. You guys can see this is going to take forever, but we'll keep plugging away. So, this side's probably going to take 2 treatments because it's so dirty. There's going to be missing spots for sure. That's definitely one thing you need to take into consideration when quoting is sometimes we lose out because we often quote without seeing it. We do it from satellite. So we're not necessarily taking into consideration how dirty it is. Although sometimes, if it's a new satellite image, you can actually see how dirty it is because they haven't cleaned it in a few years. So, sometimes we probably underbid a little bit because we are just using satellite, but I like to err on the side of getting a quote out to them right away, because a lot of times it's one of the, the first quote that gets back to them is sometimes what they pick. So we like to be responsive. This roof is very slippery, it's so dirty, so usually asphalt shingles aren't this slippery. It's usually tiles get really slippery, but you do need to be careful on any roof. But when they're dirty like this, they get really slick, especially when they're wet. So I might actually let some of this run down and come back to it so I don't slide off the roof. Although it's not as bad because it's not like a 2-story drop here, but still don't want to slide off. That wouldn't be fun. You notice I don't have anybody spraying down below today. Dante wasn't able to make it out here today. I'm not as concerned about this one though, because it is got gutters all the way around it, so any of the overspray I can kind of run down between applications here and spray any kind of overspray, because it's not running straight off the roof like you would get if it didn't have gutters. So I'm not too concerned about that today. Plus it rained and I wet it down, so there's a lot of water there to already dilute it. And of course we'll spray again after I'm done. It's starting to rain, so I might need to let up until the rain stops. I don't want this to get washed off. You can start to see that happen while it's working. Good stuff. That's how it should be spraying. Not the sputtering, of course, but Hey guys, this is Future Roy. We did actually go to replace the pump on the system because of all this sputtering, and you can see how low the pressure is. While we were taking the panels and stuff off for the pump, I did notice there was a very small hairline fracture in the surfactant valves that lead to the mixer. And that really small crack was sucking enough air that it was destroying the suction on this and the power of it. So we had to reorder one of those valves, but once we replaced it, the pump is back to working fine. So glad I didn't replace the pump before finding that crack, because it still would have been an issue. Here's what I was talking about, guys. Even with leaf guards, I don't know if you can see it, the gutters still get full of like junk. There's like granules and soil and everything else gets in there. So you still end up having to clean those leaf guards out, or those gutters rather, with leaf guards. So the industry tells you you don't have to clean your gutters anymore. It's complete crock. If anything, it makes it more expensive and harder, because you have to take those screens off to clean them typically. Not always, but most of the time you do. So that's extra labor, so it's going to cost you more to clean them. You may not have to clean them as often, but you definitely do have to clean them. So if they tell you don't have to clean them, they're lying to you. These are so dirty that you can see my footprints in them. All right, go back over here. Some of that's run down a little bit, so we'll take advantage of the runoff. You can see some of these areas are starting to lighten up, others aren't. Some of that's just because the sun hasn't hit it yet. Some of it's also because it's just so dirty. The sun definitely helps to activate it. Like I said, these were wet too, so that could be part of it. That's hysterical how the bleach on my shoes is cleaning the shingles. You can see my footprints. I have a pretty hot mix going. I have it at 5%. Honestly, on this side, probably could have mixed it up to 6 or 7, and that would have kept me from having to go over it twice probably. So, but we'll see how this works. It looked like it was working better up on top. Like I said, these are damp, so it might take a little bit longer. It's also not, it's overcast. Been doing do a lot of overcast roofs in Florida. It's usually sunny, which creates its own problems because we have to be careful about how hot it is. Because on really hot days, if it's in the 90s, the roof is significantly hotter than that, so it just vaporizes. I got one question recently. They were asking about using surfactants when we do house washing. And there's debate in the industry about that. Surfactants obviously help suspend some of the dirt theoretically in the wash. It also helps delay the evaporation of the chemicals. But I think a lot of people are finding that surfactant isn't really necessary when you're doing a house wash. It's just an added expense. And we don't batch mix, so we have a system where we choose, the mixture for our soft wash system, for the 12-volt system like this one. I can get very specific about the bleach and surfactant and water mix. But for most house washing and screen enclosures, that kind of stuff, we're doing downstreaming, and our system is just pulling SH. It's not pulling surfactant when we do that. And honestly, I haven't felt the need to change that. We haven't seen any problems with that to date. Obviously, if we could do that with our soft wash system, apply the chemical and surfactant. It's not nearly as fast because this is only, it's not high pressure, but it's also just not pumping out as many gallons of water as our 8 gallon per minute pressure washer, which is what we use for downstreaming. You can see it changing color already.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like over there.
Over there?
Like in the front, yeah. Up here.
Okay.
This side is really dirty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was the reason? Any particular reason for that?
Trees.
This one?
Just shade, and we recommend doing it about every 3 to 5 years.
Oh,
It probably has never been done.
no, you're right. So this grew from 2018, December 2018.
Yep. So like this side is dirtier, and it's just the way the sun faces. Any side that doesn't get as much direct sun tends to grow more.
Oh,
So
okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go spray off some stuff down there for overspray, and I'll get back with you guys when we're wrapping this up. Alright guys, so we've got the first coat down. And you can see there's still some dirty spots. Pretty dark spots, even though it's been treated with 5%. I think it's a combination of it being wet, but also cloudy, so the sun's not really activating it yet. So I'm gonna give this a little time to dwell and then go over it again. It was pretty thick. I should have started probably with something stronger than 5%. But you can see where areas are getting lighter. So let this dwell a little bit, go over it again, and see how that goes. I think I might, actually before I hit this again, I might up the percentage, because it'll have a better chance of taking effect in this cloudy weather. So I'll let you know what I end up with, and we'll take a look at it again in a little bit. Alright guys, we had to go over the roof with a second coat and a third coat in spots. You can see it's considerably lighter. The sun is still activating some of this, it's still wet. So some of these little darker spots will continue to lighten as they die, but everything's wet still. So I think my pump finally gave out though. So timing was good, I guess. It was right towards the end. So, but you can see the difference here. These were black when we started, especially that other side. So it's looking a lot better. We're gonna go around and do a post rinse, and then just do a touch up on the gutters and stuff. So, but you can see this looks a heck of a lot better. It did take a lot more chemical than I thought it was going to. I think that, again, like partly because it was wet, and also it was incredibly dirty, and it's cloudy today. So that sun really helps to activate this sometimes. So anyway, we'll touch up on the gutters, roll up everything and get out of here, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.